My name is Jerry Lucey. Lucey spelled Lucey. I was born and raised in Cambridge, Massachusetts. The war I played in was the Korean War I was in. Okay, now,
What was your role in the war?
training. I did a lot of training, but I never went over to Korea. I've been in various. First I start out with is I joined the National Guards when I was 18 and a half. And at that point, you had to be over 18, and the 18 and a half in order to be you wouldn't get drafted, I should say that. Okay, at 19 years old, I was drafted into the Army. And there's a story here in a clip in the paper showing how many 19-year-olds were drafted at that time, March 3rd, 1953. The Korean War was still going on, and a lot of us, we talked about this, about we don't want to go over there. You know, after seeing what happened in World War II, I don't think anybody at our age wanted to be involved in a war, which I can understand. And so we went from, we got to the draft board, they took us to the camp in Fort Devens, Massachusetts, where they supplied us with uniforms and also gave us everybody had to get a haircut. It's very small, not much hair left in your head. Some of the fellows had real long hair. When they cut them off, they were crying. It's when I think about it, why? You still have hair. So
All right, so what were you feeling when you first arrived at training?
Well, see, training was easy for me because I was in the Guards and I had a lot of training in the National Guards. Marching, how to use a rifle. I went to firing ranges, fired the rifles, knew how to take care of a rifle by cleaning and maintaining its, and stuff like that. And also we went to a camp for 2 weeks. It was up in Fort Drum in upper state New York. We went for there for 2 weeks. We were the outfit I was in the Guards they were engineers. So engineers did all sorts of things. Build roads. We had to build bridges over rivers or valleys. We had to build bridges. They called it Bailey Bridge. And after that stint was up, I come back, went home, and all of a sudden I got a notice I was drafted. Feelings were really high. I said, "Oh no!" But I knew there were a lot of my friends would be drafted at the same time. So, and that's when I started telling you about going to Fort Devens, and from there, from Fort Devens, we went to it was called Indiantown Gap, Pennsylvania. It was near Harrisburg, and there's was training started. Every morning was exercising, push-ups, pull-ups, running, and then a lot of school training, going to classes, and outside training, going on maneuvers, carrying our rifles with us in full field packs. And then we had night maneuvers, doing the same thing, carrying our rifles, but there were blanks in there. We had blank bullets, and they were firing them and everything else, and just shooting at each other, having a great time trying to find the enemy. And so, and then there was a few times that we had to some training where there were live bullets being shot at us. We were crawling in the mud underneath the wire, barbed wire, crawling in the mud on our hands and knees with our rifles across our arms. We didn't want to get them all muddy and wet. So that's we had to do that. That was sort of scary. They tell you, keep your heads down and your rear down. You may get hit because the bullets were very close flying overhead. And from there, they sent me to Fort Knox, Kentucky. I went to leadership school because I told my lieutenant, I says, I'm thinking about staying in the Army. he says, well, we'll send you to leadership school. So we went to Fort Knox. I spent about 2.5 months there. And then they sent us, most of us, some went to Europe, some went to Korea, but I went to Alaska. And there's we formed winter training. We were on skis most of the time, carrying full field packs, rifles. And the squad I was in was called the 75 Recorderless Rifle. It was recorderless rifle because it was mounted on a tripod. And when you fired it, you had to stand at least 30 yards behind it. Otherwise, it would knock you over when you fire the 75 millimeter cannon. And it was a weight about 115 pounds. It was supposed to be 2 men carrying them. And I always managed to get, I was on the breech end, I always with the heavy end, I was always managed to get a short person behind me which was pulling weight on me. So I just picked it up and carried it by myself because it was a lot easier than straining my back. So, and that was, I think, that was in Alaska. And I think I didn't say anything about going to Alaska. Yes, yeah, I went to Alaska and for winter training. And there, I got acquainted with quite a few people, soldiers from all over the United States. And it was quite an experience just to getting to know those people, what they did and where they lived. And from California to Texas to Louisiana to North and South Carolina. And the people, the boys that were from California and the South, they just couldn't take the cold. Being I was from Massachusetts and I'm used to the damp cold, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad. But one thing we enjoyed is on the spare time, even though we were training with skis on, we used to go skiing anyway, just to kill time. But the experience there, I would say, was very fulfilling. And I don't know how to do it again. But just to meet the people I was with, it was fun. We had a lot of good times away from training, and the training was at times was difficult because they had you running in deep snow and 30 below weather, and they said to you, keep your mouth shut, otherwise your lungs gonna freeze. Yeah.
So you spoke about the bonds and other people you talked to. Did any of the bonds last after your training or after the war ended?
No, I'm sorry it didn't. But I met some really nice people in every place I've been. Yeah, and but we did set up something when I was in basic training to meet after we all got out. We had a date set. I think it was sometime in March of 1955. And I was the only one that showed up at the restaurant we were supposed to meet. And so that was one of those things. I said, well, they just either forgot about it, they just didn't care. But that's not the point. The training, like I said, you were talking about the training before, seeing how the National Guard really helped me. And I knew everything, and I made me a little bit feeling more, I was more comfortable, with all that training. And I did all that stuff, and it made it easy for me to not have to go through all that stuff again. Anything else that you think that you want to talk about now?
Well, you said you went training in Alaska. Do you have any memorable stories or any pictures or anything from up in Alaska?
Pictures, the only picture I have here is me on skis.
Do you have any stories or any funny moments when you were up there?
Oh, we had a lot of different things. We had one fellow who was in my barracks. We lived in Quonset huts, and the latrine was across the street. So at night, you didn't get fully dressed. You ran over real fast. So the one fellow, every night he would cry. He was lonesome. Every night he would cry. And we had different stories of different people that in the barracks. And another one would, I think he wanted to get out of the service. He went to bed every night. It's funny, but He finally did get out, a medical discharge. We had a few that decided they just didn't want to be up there anymore. They just took off and started walking away from the camp. Went on AOL, and they found him someplace in Montana. Another one shot himself in the foot on guard duty. He wanted to get out of service. It's weird things. Another time we were on guard duty, and I heard it's called the sergeant of the guard, and here's a guy sitting on the roof because there are moose around, calling for help. At that time, depending on the mating season, they were quite dangerous, and but they're a beautiful animal to watch running in the snow. They're long-legged and they can run real fast, and I've seen lots of them. Yeah. As far as other animals, bears, I've never seen a bear. Yeah. And it's supposed to be loaded with bears. Yeah.
All right, well, that'll wrap up this part of the interview. Thank you for telling your story about your training and up in Alaska and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.